What's up, everybody? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking us on out. I love you guys. If you like the Tobin and Leroy show, you guys can check us out. YouTube.com/TheTicketMiami is where you guys can go find us there. That is where the Silly Sauce Playground is. We are closing in. Obviously, big times down here in Miami with the Miami Dolphins. 2-0 start. Big game coming up against the Buffalo Bills. And, we've been doing plenty of coverage of that. But Miami Heat camp is a week away. Very excited. We got some fun stuff coming your way with that. But I need to get to this. So look, am I a guy who maybe has rabbit ears when it comes to Miami Heat disrespect? Guilty. I admit sometimes I can be a little sensitive when it comes to these certain things. So I'm going to lay that on the table as a guilty as charged. However, I saw something today that was inexcusable, unexplainable, and downright disrespectful. And that is ESPN's top 100 player rankings. Okay? So they do this every year. They come out, they rank the best players in the league. And today they released 11 through 25. So they did, I think, 26 through 100 yesterday. I think it was Tyler Hero was 61. I think Kyle Lowry was 60. Fine. I'm not going to, be super up in arms about that right now. We could break that down another time, another day. And Bam Adebayo, he was ranked 23. Bam Adebayo was 23 in the top 25. He was down 2 spots from last year where he was ranked 21st. They put him behind Jaylen Brown. They put him behind Chris Paul. And they put him behind Anthony Davis, who doesn't play basketball, and Bradley Beal, who also doesn't play a lot of basketball. Makes a ton of money, doesn't make a lot of playoffs. But Bradley Beal, he had the surgery on the wrist last year. Okay, you want to put him 4 spots ahead of Bam. Stupid, but fine. Let's just roll on. So you get to Bradley Beal, he's 19. Rudy Gobert, 18. I'm expected to see an unfamiliar face because there's no way Jimmy Butler is ranked right ahead of Rudy Gobert. And yet, here he is. 17. Number 17 in the league is where they rank Jimmy Butler. 17. A spot down from last year where he was 16th. They ranked in their own little stupid method of however they do this. They looked at this, saw the year Jimmy Butler just had, saw the playoff run Jimmy just had, and decided he needs to be ranked lower. Lower. And so there must be a hell of an influx of talent then for him to be knocked down a peg. What the hell happened? So who's above him? And I nearly threw my phone out the window as soon as I saw this, because the next name above Jimmy Butler is Trey Young. Trey Young. They ranked ahead of Jimmy Butler. In fact, they flip-flopped. Trey Young was 17 last year. Jimmy Butler was 17 this year. This year, Trey Young, 16. They have traded spots. I got to understand here, what is the obsession with Trey Young? Okay? This guy is a fun player. He's a nice little player. He's like dollar store Steph Curry. He does some cute things, for sure. And he's very young. And maybe there's room for improvement. But I saw this man last year get clamped up by the Miami Heat. The dude needed a safe word because the Miami Heat were putting such clamps on him. Like he was in a dominatrix dungeon. That's how hard the clampage was against Trey Young. And I want to know, looking at this, Who in the boardroom decided, you know what? After I watched the postseason last year, guys, I'm looking at this, and I think that Trey and Jimmy, they need to flip spots. What the hell is that? See, here is the thing where I look at things like this, and people say, Tobin, you're always looking for this stuff. Tobin, it's just nonsense. I get this from a lot from my co-host, Leroy. Why does this stuff bother you? Why does this stuff get under your skin? Because it should. Because it's wrong. That Jimmy Butler, one of the best players in the NBA, continues to be overlooked and dismissed as something that he's not. He keeps getting looked upon as some nice player, would like to have him, but let's go with somebody a little bit more dazzling because they shoot from 35. Trey Young got his team gentlemen swept by the Miami Heat last year. They didn't even need Jimmy Butler to finish off that series. Jimmy Butler did maintenance program against the Hawks because it was such an easy series. They write, December 7th at New York, Trey loves the Garden. The Garden. Well, those fans feel a certain way about Trey. We're still talking about this series from 2 years ago. Interesting. Okay. Now, I think the Hawks are going to be a decent team. Bringing in DeJounte Murray, I think, is definitely a great counterpart to Trey Young. But you're putting him above Jimmy Butler, who, in a lot of ways, was the best player in the playoffs last year. I just make it make sense. Okay. Then we go, who's above him? Paul George. Dude. Paul George with the performances and the disappointment that the Clippers have been, this is the reward. Now, he's knocked down 3 spots. So they may say, we punished Paul George. Well, okay. You punished Paul George. You put him behind Jimmy Butler. It's so silly. Damian Lillard then is at number 14. And I love Dame Dollar. Okay? I love Dame Dollar. I would love him on the Heat. I love Damian Lillard. But guess what? If he comes to the Miami Heat, he's not the best player on the Heat. Jimmy Butler is. Okay? Dame Dollar, as ice cold as it gets. Not many players who are non-Heat players around the league that I love more than Damian Lillard. However, he is a 6-foot guard and is now dealing with injuries. He makes $1 gazillion, and Portland had to pull the plug because they kept running into a brick wall during the playoffs. And so I look at that and I say, all right, after last year, you think he should be above Jimmy Butler? Because this is what I'm basing it off of. I'm basing it off of last year. Okay? Maybe they'll be, okay, we'll have some discussion about certain guys who come back from injury, like Kawhi. In fact, in this 11 through 17 range, where they have Jimmy Butler, because they have Karl Anthony Towns at 13 in the league. And to have Karl Anthony Towns, a one-way player, done nothing, okay? To have him that many spots above Jimmy Butler is a slap in the face, okay? It's a slap in the face. A lot of these guys are really talented. This is a league that is full of talent. Do not get me wrong. But in the end of it, if you look around, what Jimmy Butler had on his team was a bunch of guys who are banged up, and he gets a shot within the NBA Finals. And people are saying, nope, I'd rather have the one-way big man who doesn't defend anybody. I'd rather have the 6-foot guard who didn't get through last season. I'd rather have Paul George, always banged up, always coming up short. I'd rather have all these guys instead of Jimmy Butler. Kawhi Leonard is at number 12. He's the only guy above Jimmy Butler right now, out in this outside of the top 10 region. He's the only guy I will accept, okay? He has the credentials. He has won. Now, I don't know what the hell goes on with his health. I don't know when, I don't know when you can and how you can expect Kawhi Leonard to be able to play through a full season. But, all right, with credentials, with winning, I will accept Kawhi Leonard being above Jimmy Butler. Okay, that's fine. But number 11 on this list is that fat bum, James Harden, who also has never won an NBA championship. And after last year, where he forced his way out of Brooklyn and weaseled his way to Philadelphia, only to be ousted by Jimmy Butler. He is somehow ranked 6 spots ahead of him at number 11, just outside the top 10. His punishment for having stripper hammies last year and being out of shape and making a stink and getting out of Brooklyn is to drop from number 10 to number 11. This stupid brand, ESPN, continues to smooch the ass of two cities, Boston and Philadelphia, to no end. It's ridiculous how much credit they give Philadelphia for doing nothing. His own teammate, James Harden, okay? His own teammate, Joel Embiid, said he's not Houston James Harden anymore. He basically called his teammate washed. Washed. Not the same guy anymore. Basically said, he'll be our facilitator for me and Maxey. That's basically what Joel Embiid said. And they got him this many spots ahead of Jimmy Butler. Are you kidding me? What kind of sense does that make? Okay? Just tell me, what kind of sense does it make to have guys like Trey Young and James Harden, both guys who were eliminated by Jimmy Butler, ahead of Jimmy Butler in a player ranking? Explain it to me. I would love to know. I would love to sit back here and have anybody who has a logical brain cell activated up in their head to give me the actual logical argument for having James Harden that many spots above Jimmy Butler when his team couldn't do squad douche against Jimmy Butler's team, which wasn't even all the way healthy, didn't even have a point guard. And he wants to sit here, and ESPN wants to sit here and tell you, nah, he's that much better than Jimmy. Get out of here, dude. Come on. What are we talking about? All right. You want to say Jimmy Butler's a top 10 player, not a top 10 player? He was by far, he was a top 5 player, top 3 player in the playoffs last year. Steph Curry, like Luka and Jimmy. Like, that's the list last year in the playoffs. And I think Jimmy has a good argument to be, ultimately the guy who has the trophy will have the bragging rights. So I'll put Steph number 1, put Jimmy number 2. Because even Jason Tatum was not at his best last year. Argument that he wasn't even the best player on his own team. And I know he's going to be in the top 10. I know this top 10 is going to be something like, Jokic and Joel Embiid and Tatum and Luka and LeBron and Giannis. I'm sure Devin Booker's going to be in there and John Morant and all that. I don't know what the order is going to be, but that's going to be the top 10 basically, okay? Fine. Oh yeah, you don't want to say he's a top 10 player. Go ahead. You sit there on your throne of lies and you say that to yourself because in the playoffs, like playoff Jimmy isn't a real thing. You act like there's a lot of players who could do what he does in the league. You tell me there is. With his team that broken down at the end of it with what he's been able to do. But to put James Harden above him, Karl Anthony Towns above him, Trey Young above him, come on, dude. What type of garbage is this for some supposed credible publication? Garbage. Garbage. Filth. A rag. It almost seems like a Ballsack Sports parody. Ridiculous to me, dude. The only guy above him right now, I'm just like, all right, I can see it, is Kawhi. I'll hear your argument. After last year and going into this year, based on what they've done over the last few years, especially last year, going into this year, how you have Jimmy Butler 17th in the league, worse than you had him last year, is flatly a joke. It is bullshit. And you should be ashamed of yourself, ESPN.